Welcome, one and all, to the iRacing Esports Network this Wednesday, the 3rd of October, 2018. This is the V8s Online Porsche Supercup Australia, and we are V8s Online. Reese Gardner here in the commentary box, and alongside me, Brock Cadeye. Once again, Brock, round 7 of the season, and we're racing at Oulton Park.
Hey everybody, and hey Reese, yeah, good to be back in the comms box this week, again back at Oulton Park after that GT race here last week, and now we have the Porsche Cup Series here, basically the Super Cup Series as they call it. So, should hopefully be some good racing here tonight. Oulton's a nice little tight track, so it really offers up some great battling along the way, but we do have quite a small field here tonight. Only 12 cars have turned up, but still some big names within that field, so hopefully we'll see a good battle along these two races tonight.
Yeah, certainly. This is a split format tonight. We've got a 15-minute race coming up and then a 25-minute race coming up with a random number drawn to reverse the grid. But with the reduced amount of cars here tonight, there's definitely a chance that we could see the entire field be reversed, which would really spice things up for race 2.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously we do have, as we call, our spinny wheel that'll determine that for us. So, yeah, well, it'll be interesting to see here. And obviously these guys have already qualified, so they know where they're going to be starting. But just to point out, we do have Michael Healy and Josh Anderson in the field with us tonight, who are 1st and 2nd in the championship. No sign of El Nabi and Shepherd, who are 3rd and 4th. So they actually have a really good opportunity tonight to extend that championship lead and create a nice little buffer for themselves and OPR as well.
Yeah, certainly. David Haynes, 5th in the championship, is also present in this race. He's going to be starting in 4th, so we'll see what he can do from here. So, the grid is as follows. Josh Anderson starting on pole with Michael Healy in 2nd. Steve Jansen lining up for Team CMR in 3rd. David Haynes 4th. Cameron Dance rounding out the top 5. Richard Hunter in 6th. Jason Cossey 7th. Stephen Hall 8th. 9th, Simon Mazzomo. The field rounded out by Andrew Mogridge, James Wilson, and Cody Bircher. So only 12 cars tonight. So we'll see what happens. Brock, we will be going racing very soon.
Yeah, as the engine revs rise now, and we're waiting for the green flag. Got the green flag now as they leap away from the grid.
Oh, good stuff from Healy.
Clean. Yeah, Healy is out in front, clear out in front at the moment there as they come down into turn 1 here. Fairly clean through turn 1, quite tentative. Good
oh, Anderson!
And it's spinning! Oh, and Cam Dance has been spun around there into the wall because of Jansen.
Oh, yeah, Michael Healy under big pressure from Anderson now. Just going to check back on that incident because, my goodness, we're getting a replay of that now. That is a real shame to see in turn 1. Just looks to me like Steve Jansen got very loose on the grass coming off of turn 1, and Dance had absolutely nowhere to go. Also caught up, and that was Richard Hunter.
Sorry, we've got a car off as well. They've just gone off at that fast left-hander that we saw so many GT cars go off at. No big incident there, but could have been close. But yeah, a bit of a crazy start there. Considering we have such a small field, it's already all going off.
Yeah, definitely. Jason Cossey and David Haynes side by side down the straight coming up to the Hislop chicane. Of course, we are not running the Britain's chicane on this layout of Oulton Park. Oh, we got a car overshooting Hislop. That's James Wilson.
And another one in the background there.
Oh yeah, Stephen Hall actually going off as well. So we're seeing quite a few guys making mistakes in these opening laps of this race. Michael Healy still leading from Josh Anderson, from Cody Bircher, who has made a mammoth run from 12th to be in the top 3 within range of the lead.
Now that is an impressive start. You got to give him that. That +9 positions in less than a lap as we come around to finish our first lap here now. So just looking, well, I'm looking back at David Haynes now, who's having quite a large battle there as he goes out quite wide there. What car is that with? Andrew Mogridge, and he's just cleared him there coming into turn 1. But there is a nice little battle pack in the midfield here. And yeah, looking up ahead at Bircher, it looks like Anderson's gone down the inside of Healy there as well. They're battling it out hard, these OPR teammates, and they're going to be side by side here. No, Anderson is going to drop back in behind. Smart move there. This isn't an overtaking opportunity up here. That's brought Bircher as well in an OPR car up into this top 3 battle. And, well, these guys, hopefully they're nice to each other because they are all teammates, so we don't want any bad blood there.
Yeah, certainly, but you got to remember, Healy and Anderson are championship contenders, so at some point, it's going to have to be a race between these guys. We are approaching the latter part of this season. So it'll be interesting to see what these guys do in the lead up to that. Anderson having a little bit of a look at Healy, who's just having some technical issues. Seems to me like Anderson well and truly has the run down the straights here at Oulton Park, but ultimately it's only worth so much with all the fast, sweeping, terrain-hugging turns we see here.
That's it. The technicality of the track means that there's not a lot of places to overtake for these drivers, particularly in a car like this that has such touchy brakes. So you've really got to plan those moves and execute them at the perfect time. Otherwise, you're just going to end up falling back in behind. And what that's doing for Anderson here is it's bringing in Bircher from behind, and that means that these guys are really going to be embroiled in a battle for what could be the whole race. I mean, at the moment, we're already nearly a third of the way through this 15-minute sprint.
Yeah, certainly. So that battle's going on. Cameron Dance actually making a move at turn 1, or attempting to make a move on Simon Mazzomo, who is going to have the defensive line coming into this left-hander, but Dance going around the outside and Mazzomo losing it on the inside. So that's unfortunate.
Yeah, Mazzomo jumped in and he's decided to give it a red-hot crack tonight, but obviously hasn't quite got the handle on the car as well as what he would have liked. I saw in the practice session earlier, he did have a couple of spins as well, trying to get the car around this track, so obviously still coming to grips with it, although still in 8th place and 1 place up on where he started.
Yes, indeed. James Wilson's just coming out of the pits. I'm not quite sure what that was for. Spent a lot of time in his garage.
Oh, sorry, we've had Healy overrun the chicane there, and he's gotten a slowdown. So Anderson is in the lead, and Bircher is now right behind Anderson.
Yes, indeed. We're going to get a replay of that one too, just to show you what happened there. Yeah, looks to me like Anderson did actually go for a move there on Healy almost. I think Healy just anticipated a little bit too wide.
Yeah, actually, in the end there, he didn't cut the chicane. He managed to make it, but yeah, just could not get the line, and Bircher has gathered him up there. And he's having problems. He's having another moment there. So that's allowed Bircher and Anderson to check out in the distance, which is really not what you need in this race. He needed to be up the front there, defending from the front. Now he's got the hard work to do to catch up to his teammates in Bircher and Anderson. Yeah,
that's exactly right. Well, we'll see what Michael Healy can do in this case. Currently looking at Cameron Dance, who is pursuing David Haynes on board with him as they come through this very challenging opening section of the lap. This particular turn, Brock, is one that has caught many drivers out, especially in the GT3s. So easy to try and hold it flat through there, but you got that gravel trap waiting for you. You could easily spear another car off through this turn.
Yeah, that's it. We did see that happen multiple times as the guys they tried to get that grip and they couldn't get it down. But watching Haynes and Dance here, Dance is trying to make up for the fact that he did get spun around by Janssen quite early in this race. And Haynes is, well, we know Haynes is a solid driver in the Porsche and also knows how to put up a really good fight. So I imagine this will be a very good battle at the moment as they come through to basically the second half of the track here out of the chicane. They've got the 181 car just ahead of them here of Jason Cossey, who looks to be a bit slow. So these guys looking to make up for mistakes made in the very early stages of this race and try and claw back some of those positions. But remember, we do have that reverse grid coming up as well, where the whole field could be reversed. So something to keep in mind for where these guys end up finishing.
Yeah, that's it. And I think in the interests of that reverse grid, I think the guys are going to have to just try and tone down the aggression a bit on the first lap, try and make sure that they stay on the black stuff, so to speak. That would definitely help their case as Josh Anderson does the fastest lap of the race so far, a 29.915, which is pretty good pace from him.
Yeah, Anderson's checked out now. I had a feeling this would happen. We know Anderson's got mega pace in this car, and once Healy was not in front of him and defending hard around a circuit like this, Anderson is just jumping ahead. So at the moment, it looks like unless something goes wrong, Anderson will have this. And we saw Healy's race pace in the last race as well dropped off a bit as the race went on, and once he wasn't defending hard. So now we can see he's actually dropped off the back of Bircher as well. And that means there's OPR 1, 2, 3, but not quite the battle we were anticipating earlier in this race.
No, certainly not. Watching Cam once again as he puts a move here on David Haynes. Tries to anyway. Just pulls out. Seems like a very attractive overtaking spot, that chicane at his lop, but obviously it doesn't always work out that way. Dance has gotten the better exit up the hill here. So
nowhere to go.
really, yeah, just nowhere to go. The track really narrows up at that point. It's very much one line, especially through this double apex right-hander, but there's another opportunity for Dance to get by here at the last corner before Deer's leap. He's just not able to get the car pulled up in the way he wants to. A little bit of a mistake on the exit as well, so that's just enabling Haynes to get away at the end of the lap. But I did notice that Dance is very strong in the opening half of the lap at Oulton Park.
And that's probably part of the issue, is that he's really strong in that opening half, but if he makes a mistake at the end of the last lap, he's got to use all of that strength, and he's fighting the car there as he comes through to the apex, but still going fast. He uses all of that speed to catch up to Haynes, and then in the second half has nowhere to go and just has to hold him behind, and he needs to get that run off the straight because his best overtaking opportunity will be through turn 1, I think, anyway, as Kossi locks up just in front of him here. Dance is pushing that car. He's trying to get everything out of it to try and get
right
Haynes.
Here. Yes, right there, you see? He got a really good jump out of that hairpin. He carries the momentum down the straight, but Haynes is going for that defensive line here, staying right in the middle of the circuit, and Dance just holding back, coming into his lops once again. Yeah, I think you're right, Brock. His best chance is either turn 1 or the hairpin.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And like you said about the chicane, it looks like a nice overtaking spot, but getting 2 cars through there successfully and in somewhat of a quick fashion doesn't work. It tightens up a lot, and then you've got that exit there in this last part of the track where it's one line as Dance takes a lot of curb as well. He is muscling that car at the moment. And this battle is actually letting Kossi just sort of sit where he's in 4th there, +3 on his starting position, and pull away from these guys. So we'll watch the exit here from Dance, a bit wide at the apex. Doesn't have a wiggle like the last lap. He's actually very close to Haynes at the moment. Haynes taking the right hand. We're on board with Dance as well. Haynes on the right hand side. He'll go back to the left. Dance is going to throw it down the inside here. But Haynes keeping it on the outside there. Dance got the inside curb as well and is going to lose out that time because he didn't maximise that exit. He's going to fall back behind again.
Yeah, that's another interesting little foible of Oulton Park, that turn 1. It's very open to start with, but it tightens up massively as you come up to the apex, so it's very hard to actually see through an overtake there. So Dance obviously needs to try in another couple of places or get enough momentum to get past Haynes before turn 1. But you see there, once again, he just hooks up the throttle so nicely through the hairpin, and he is well within draft range now, but Haynes will know that he's coming right in the middle of the track once again. But Dance is showing the nose, and he's trying to go under brakes into his lop. Not going to work once again. He just can't get it done.
No, Haynes has got some mega braking going on here at the moment. In those heavier braking zones, Dance just can't get him. So he really needs to be alongside Haynes in order to maximise the overtaking opportunity that he's given there. Otherwise, and Haynes made a mistake there. He's just drifted out wide. Dance is going to be all over him coming into the last corner. Haynes tries to defend here. Dance is going to be alongside. This might be what he needs. Side by side into the last corner now. Haynes go out wide. He's going to try to dive it back in there so he can get the run onto the straight. Didn't quite get the run that he needs. Dance in front now. Haynes watching. Dance is going defensive. Could hold it around the outside on the last lap. Dance still holding an ultra-tight line. And it looks like for now it's going to be over, but Haynes is still very close and could try put a move on later in this lap.
Yeah, well, you can see he's searching everywhere he can for a gap on Dance there. That is fantastic racing right there. It just shows that, oh, whoa, careful, Cam. Goodness me. Getting the right-hand side tyres into the grass. It's not going to do him, serve him very well through that right-hander. Just manages to stay in front though, but now that Dance is ahead of Haynes, you can see he's gapping him already, so this gives him a chance to chase down Kossi in the dying minutes of this race. We're under 5 minutes to go.
Yeah, this race has absolutely flown by, and I'll just quickly point out, we've actually had Healy has caught right up to the back of Bircher now, so we have a similar situation to what we just saw with Dance and Haynes then, now for second and third between Bircher and Healy, so he's found that pace again, and is reeling Bircher in, but their teammate Anderson is 4 seconds up the road.
Yeah, Anderson's absolutely run away with this. He's been, actually, let me double check. He has set 29s every lap since we last checked in on him, so he's got that fantastic pace hooked up in that car. Bircher, on the other hand, a second slower than Healy on the last lap, and I think this might be a move here at turn 1 if Healy can be assertive enough under brakes. Oh, Bircher giving him a little bit of room on entry, but Healy is just not able to carry that momentum.
Yeah, that was a bit awkward from both of them there. It was Healy wanting to make sure he didn't hit his teammate and Bircher wanting to make sure he didn't shut the door. So very gentlemanly from both of them. But as we get into the last 2.5 minutes of this race and last couple of laps now, they've got to make these moves and make them stick to get maximum points gained from this race. Obviously, we do have the reverse grid coming up, but this is about now. He needs to get it done and get those points, particularly because he's got Anderson just up the road there, who is gaining more points on him and who is just ahead of him in the championship by about 50 points. Healy looking strong coming out of the hairpin there. He's actually got a little bit of overlap as they come down towards the chicane now. It's going to be a dangerous place to make a move, but they're side by side. Bircher breaks a little bit early. Healy down the inside. He's got that move done. We'll see if he'll get the exit there, and he's got that move done. So up into second place for Healy after making that mistake and going down to third earlier in this race.
Yes, indeed. So Healy where he needs to be right now to try and keep himself in that championship fight. But obviously, the even better position would be with himself and Anderson reversed, which is a bit of a shame from Healy's end. His early season form was quite strong, but Anderson has just really turned it on in the middle phase of the season. So he starts his lap 10, does Anderson. Now, a little bit of a mistake from him on the exit of turn 1, but he's still maintaining that very quick pace, another 1 minute 29. So these last couple of laps, I think, are going to be business as usual for Anderson.
Yeah, that's it. And just to point out here, Bircher did a 1 minute 32 on the last lap because of that battling with Healy, and now Anderson is nearly 7.5 seconds ahead of them. He has got some mega pace in that car, and if I was everyone else in this field, I would be worried for next race because he is going to cut through the field. If he starts from the back, I don't think he'll be worried about not getting in the win because he's got so much pace in that Porsche of his that he just seems to be able to convert it no matter what.
Yes, indeed. And I've just noticed a few moments ago, Jason Cossey actually spun in front of Cam Dance and David Haynes. So those guys have now both gained a position. No one suffered any damage from it. So that's all well and dandy, but big position loss there for Jason Cossey.
Yeah, Cossey was actually doing really well in this race, up to 4th place at that point in time, and now back to 7th where he started, but what was looking promising, unfortunately, has gone astray, and now we have Josh Anderson coming across the line to claim this first sprint race of 15 minutes, and in dominating fashion as well, by about 8 seconds in the end there, which is just some absolutely massive pace from him.
Yeah, fantastic stuff from Josh Anderson, setting a 1 minute 30 on the last lap, but that's still very consistent with his pace throughout this race. Michael Healy has taken 2nd. How about the run from Cody Bircher, though? 12th to 3rd. He avoided that turn 1 carnage, and he has managed to hold on to get a very good podium position.
Yeah, well done. I think that just shows we've always said right from round 1 and round 2, OPR have stood out in these Porsches, and no matter who's in their cars, they just have this great idea of how to set up the cars and how to make them fast. And Bircher, with that first lap effort, was a perfect example of that, going from 12th to 3rd and then battling it out with his teammate and keeping it there. That was a really great effort from him, and our biggest mover tonight in this first race.
Yes, indeed. James Wilson is still out there completing his last couple of laps. Not a good race from Wilson, unfortunately, spending a bit of time in the pits. However, he's still managing to cross the line in that last spot, and honestly, it isn't going to do his championship much harm. So Wilson crosses the line there in 12th place, and that is all of our finishes done for this race. So the results are as follows. Oh, but first, of course, we will go for the spinny wheel to see who gets pole position for race 2. It's anywhere from 8th to 15th.
So this will be interesting, this one as well, to see who ends up where, considering we have such a small field. We could have James Wilson in 12th in 1st place.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So it's going to be P8. So Richard Hunter is going to be starting on pole for this next race. Anderson starting from 8th position. That's going to be an interesting one. So the results for race 1. Josh Anderson in first with Michael Healy in second. Cody Bircher in third. Cameron Dance finishing fourth with David Haynes completing the top 5. Steve Jansen, Jason Cossey, and Richard Hunter completing the top 8. Those guys will start first, second, and third in reverse order. Andrew Mogridge in 9th, Stephen Hall 10th, and rounding out the field, Simon Mazzomo and James Wilson. While the race 2 servers get set up, we are going to take a quick break, but don't go away. We'll be racing very, very soon. You're watching the V8's Online Porsche Supercup on the iRacing Esports Network.
The following is a presentation of the iRacing Esports Network.
My name is Steven Corpenos. I'm a senior web developer here at iRacing, and I work on the beta UI. It's funny because iRacing has been around for 10 years, but we want to keep delivering the best possible user experience to our customers, and we've found that the old UI isn't exactly what we're trying to deliver in 2018. We want to use new features and provide the best possible experience when using the sim. One of the projects that I've been working on is some custom heat racing configuration for hosted races. We've been listening to our customers. Everyone's been asking for custom heat races. Maybe you want to tweak a few things with the preset iRacing configurations. Well, now you can using the beta UI. So once you're at the home page of the beta UI, you just go to create a race. Then from there you go to your set race options. And you'll notice here under event types, you can actually choose heat racing. First, I'm going to show you how to create a new format from scratch. You can choose the number of entrants. And as you can see, when I made that change, the change was actually reflected on the right side in the graph. Also, you can use the estimated duration at the bottom of the graph when you're changing the length to see what the total duration of your event will be. In addition, you can customize every aspect of the session information, practice, qualifying, heat races, consolations, and of course, the final feature race. Because the beta UI allows us to develop features that are robust and complex, this feature will be exclusively available on the beta UI. Once you've made all of the changes, you can hit save. Say you forgot what you selected. You can always preview it using the preview format button. We are very excited to release the brand new heat racing configuration feature that will be available in Season 3 of iRacing.
Hi there, I'm Richard Jobling, Senior Software Engineer here at iRacing. I'd like to show you some of the work that we've been doing to improve the collision and the damage in our sim. One of the major changes we've made is how our collision systems work. The old system stored the track as parametric surfaces, and the cars were made of collections of spheres. As the cars moved around the track, we would recompute planes using the track surfaces, and then test those against the spheres. This worked well for spheres, but was too specialised to adapt to our shapes. So for the new system, we've built new high-resolution meshes for each track. This is more efficient and gives us a lot more flexibility for the car shapes. The new mesh incorporates all the track features our guys worked so hard to replicate. Things like curb geometry and changes in the surface material are all baked into the mesh. We've also taken our laser scan data and applied that to the mesh. And since the mesh is so high resolution, we capture all the detail that's necessary so that the tracks are just like the real thing. With our new mesh, we can now represent cars using smooth, convex hulls, which grouped together form the chassis, the bodywork, and all the other parts of the car. The new shapes are a much closer fit to the shape of the real car. During impacts, the shapes can deform according to the damage, and eventually they can break off as separate objects. All the parts, like wings, hoods, and wheels, can also hang from their joints, flapping and vibrating until they eventually snap off. All these changes are going to add a whole new level of realism to our races. If you want to find out more, please visit iRacing.com and check out my blog post for lots more details.
Hi, my name is Greg Hill. I'm the Vice President of Art and Production here at iRacing. This damage project that we've been discussing is certainly a project that involved all hands on deck to pull off. We've got a rather sizable number of cars in our portfolio, and not all of these cars have been built with this dynamic damage system in mind. So what we had to do is one by one go through our race cars, and we had a team of 3 artists, a highly technical modeler, our technical art director, and our associate art director. All took on each car one at a time, and the work involved was researching that car, researching what would happen to that car if it were in a crash, depending on the forces involved in the crash, how severely it would be damaged, what parts might come off, what those pieces might look like when they're removed, what it would look like where the car has areas exposed that were previously covered by bodywork. So they had to do a lot of modeling to each race car, and they had to do a lot of work to essentially set up how the car would react to forces. So essentially setting the strength of the materials. What kind of force would it take to rip off this side pod, for example? Or under what circumstances would this nose cone get ripped off of a car? Or under which would it remain, but just be badly damaged? But all said, it's been a lot of work, but seeing the car models interact with the physics system and the new crash dynamics is really exciting and really cool to see, and definitely makes all that hard work worth it.
Hi, my name is Jose Diaz. I'm a visual effects artist at iRacing. I specialize in particle effects ranging from fireworks to water fountains, debris, crash, impacts, all in the service of improving the driving experience. So you have the main sort of new damage model that Richard's been working on. So that takes into consideration all the mounts and the chassis from the cars and which materials they are. And he's making all the calculations that tell you, like, okay, it got hit from this one side and the strength of that impact is this certain amount of values. If you hit something, that means that this mount gets off, something breaks. This gets added on top of that to sort of complement what is happening there with things that you would see in real life when a car crashes. So typically in a car crash, you will see all these little particles of dust, metal, scratches that will take all that force and momentum and kind of explode in a way. And it's all being driven by how fast the car was coming, how hard the impact was against what, that will give you that sense of like, man, that person really crashed hard, or oh, it was just a small bump.
Hi, my name is Chris Lurch. I'm one of the vehicle dynamicists here at iRacing. Our role in the collision project is to tune the collision properties of each and every car to ensure that they behave in wrecks as a real car would. And we've spent quite a bit of time going through literature from the automotive industry on the subject to make sure that we have panels that deform the way they're supposed to, both temporarily and permanently, that pieces that don't deform but rather just break at appropriate times in appropriate ways. The cars are absorbing energy the way they should and aren't sort of bouncing off the walls in crazy ways. The major properties that we look at are stiffnesses, which is how much a piece of the car deforms when a load is applied to it. And then we look at a couple of limits. One is the force limit beyond which the piece deforms permanently. And then the second limit that we look at is the brake limit, the force limit beyond which the piece will simply break. And then we also will look at damping, which is how much the piece absorbs energy versus how much it takes like a spring and can absorb as potential energy and then rebound back out like a basketball would.
My name is Stephen Corpenos. I'm a senior web developer.
The iRacing Esports Network is what you are watching right now. We are V8s Online, and this is the V8s Online Porsche Supercup. We had an interesting race one here at Oulton Park for the 7th round of the season, but now the top 8 have been reversed from race 1, and we're going to have a 25-minute race 2 to contend with. Once again, my name is Reese Gardner. Alongside me, Brock Cat-Eye. Brock, time to go racing for the second time tonight, but it looks like the conditions are a bit different out there.
Yeah, so back for this 25-minute race here tonight. Obviously, we've got that reverse grid for the top 8 in the last race, which leaves the four behind them still in their original place, 9th to 12th. But looks to be a little bit hotter. Obviously, a bit more sunlight out there on the track as well for the guys to contend with. So the track might evolve a little bit more as the race goes on, and we might see our race times differ to what they were. But I'm curious to see how we go. Obviously, we've got guys like Healy and Anderson starting right from the very back tonight for this second race. Obviously, a bit of a longer race to work their way through the pack, but we'll see how they do. We were saying before that overtaking at Oulton Park is not an easy task to accomplish. So we'll see how they get past and whether they have to use a bit of muscle, or I'm hoping we see some good battles as well as they come up through the field. That'd be nice as well, since we have such a small field here.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Once again, there's 12 cars here tonight, which is markedly down on previous rounds of the series. Bit of a shame. Oulton Park, I think, is a bit of an underrated track, honestly, Brock. There's a lot more to it than a lot of people think, and, you know, I think some of the hate that people have for it is unjustified.
I completely agree. I actually really love this track. It's so technical, and no matter what car you're in, you can always find a bit of a rhythm and enjoy the track for what it is. And it's just a short, sharp, little technical track, and I absolutely love it. But yeah, there is a little bit of hate out there for it, but hopefully tonight's racing can bring the love back in for Oulton Park and a couple of the British circuits out there on the calendar.
Yep, exactly. Well, checkered flag has come out for this practice session, and then we will begin the short gridding time before we go racing for 25 minutes in race 2. So, The grid is as follows as we tick over into the race session. James Wilson starting on pole position with Simon Mazzomo in second. Stephen Hall and Andrew Mogridge on the second row. Richard Hunter and Jason Costi taking up row 3. Steve Jansen, David Haynes, Cameron Dance, Cody Bircher, Michael Healy, and Joshua Anderson completing the field. Now, if I'm not mistaken, it looks like the entire field has been reversed and not the top 8, as the spinny wheel said.
Yeah, that seems to be the case here, but no problem. I think that'll just add to the excitement as the engine revs rise now. So we've got Anderson and Healy up the back here, Wilson and Mazzomo on the front row there, and we have gone green. Wilson has got quite a good start there. Stephen Hall trying to find a way around Mazzomo, going down the inside of turn 1 there. Haynes making some big moves early on, and we've got a couple of cars off there, quite a few cars off.
Oh, there we go.
Bircher's nearly in the wall there as well, so that is Bircher around, our third place driver from earlier in the first race there. We will continue to watch the battling going on up the front here. Anderson has got a mega start there as well. Same with Healy. These guys are making up positions already as Anderson looks to go down the inside of James Wilson, already trying to make up those positions. Wilson has gone nice and wide there. Is he going to end up in the wall?
No.
He just avoided it and will come back on track. Luckily not going straight through and taking anyone with him. The battling continues up the front here. Dance and Haynes together yet again.
Yeah, they can't seem to leave each other alone, can they?
No, they're probably not happy to see each other after the battle they were having last race, but they're currently in second and third. And we've got big incident in the back there.
Oh, hello. I have no idea what went on there. That was Andrew Mogridge involved in that. Just looks to me like, as we go to a replay, under brakes, it was Steve Jansen that caused all of that. His car just bucked to the side under brakes. He tapped Richard Hunter, and from then on, he was a passenger, went straight into Mogridge.
Yeah, it hasn't been Steve Jansen's night, unfortunately. He's had that incident in the first race and now in the second race as well. So we'll go back to the front, though, because we've got Healy and Anderson have each made up 7 positions in 4th and 5th, coming up on now 1st, 2nd and 3rd at Mazzomo, Haynes and Dance. So Mazzomo has had a great start considering the struggles he was having with the car in the earlier race we had here, but Haynes and Dance are all over each other, and Healy and Anderson are all over each other as well. As Anderson takes a look, oh my goodness, Mazzomo is bottling them up here as we're on board with Anderson. He'll be watching this. Haynes is going for the race lead now down the inside of Mazzomo. Will he make it work? Mazzomo is going to try and hold it there, tapping the brakes. He's held it on track. They're still side by side at the moment. Healy and Anderson in the background, side by side too. Dance in the middle of all of this. This is some crazy battling early in this race.
Yeah, it certainly is. And Dance, once again, he gets that really good run off the hairpin. But Mazzomo is going to go defensive into his lops, or will he yield to Dance? Absolutely no idea here. He's actually drawing even with them, but still yielding slightly at the same time. So that's Simon Mazzomo down to 3rd. Bit of a pass in the background going on. That was Richard Hunter making his way through on Stephen Hall. But this battle for the top 5 is well and truly on, because now David Haynes is in the lead of this race, and our championship hopefuls, Healy and Anderson, are bottled up behind Simon Mazzomo.
And losing a lot of time as well. Healy's going to throw it down the inside. Anderson is going to try and follow him through here. Mazzomo doing very well to just kind of stay out of the way there, make sure that he won't take it out. So they've both gotten through now. So Healy and Anderson are both they're plus 9 on their starting positions, plus 8, sorry, on their starting positions there. So now the true battle begins. I think we could be in for some real good racing here between Haynes, Dance, Healy and Anderson. So Dance is still looking around on Haynes there. He's really trying to find a way through, and it's just not working. This is going to be the same situation that we saw last race, where Dance may not be able to find a way by, and Haynes is just strong enough in that last sector to keep him at bay. But we've got to remember, Healy and Anderson, hard charges, very fast in those OPR Porsches coming from behind. I'm very excited to see how we go in the last 21 minutes of this race.
Yeah, exactly. We've already passed the 3 or 4 minute mark. Dance with a run here on Haynes coming down the back straight, but Haynes is doing his usual trick of staying right in the middle of the circuit. Good defensive driving, and they make their way through his lops for the 3rd time. Have a look at Healy and Anderson behind them. They have almost drawn even with them as they were before they got caught up behind Mazzomo.
And we know that Dance has more pace than Haynes from the last race. So we know that that pace is there. But right now, Haynes he's very skilled at just positioning the car so that Dance doesn't get the idea to throw a move somewhere that it might be unconventional. Speaking of, though, Dance is going to try and throw it down the inside at the last turn here. Haynes has gone wide there, but might get the run as they come down the hill and then back up the hill here. Not helping their case with Healy and Anderson behind it. We've seen how eager they are to get through here, but Haynes will maintain that lead for now. But like you said, and Healy has just set the fastest lap then as well, and they're just about drawing even now. It is 1, 2, 3, 4 line astern in this race.
Yes, it is. Good top four battle here. Meanwhile, Mazomo is starting to come under some pressure from Richard Hunter. Jason Cossey making his way up there as well, as we have Cody Bircher trying to make his way up through the field after his lap 1 incident. Very fortunate to escape damage there. Bircher's just made his way through on Stephen Hall. But this top four battle, certainly where it's at right now. Here in the present, coming down the back straight once again. Dance with a run once again. David Haynes going defensive once again. What will Cameron Dance do this time? He's sticking to the inside. Just going a bit early as Michael Healy and Anderson. They are trying their best not to run into the back of these guys. Anderson, you saw, was going for a slight bit of a gap there. But Healy not giving any quarter whatsoever. So they stay the same as they were this time last lap. God, this is exciting.
This is absolutely awesome racing here. And just to point out, Healy's fastest lap last lap was nearly a second faster than the likes of Haynes and Dance, as Dance now throws it down the inside at this last corner again. But we saw last time, Haynes got the run on that outside line there, and he's going to get it. So this is what we're saying. Haynes has just got that drive out of the corners perfect, and it means that Dance can't throw it down the inside on him. His braking is good as well, so Dance is just struggling to get this move working. And in the background, Healy and Anderson are fighting it out, trying to decide who goes first and who can try and make it through on these guys. Haynes is a little bit wide here. He's actually just about nearly gone off the track. Dance is going to try and draw alongside him here. This is nerve-wracking stuff.
Oh, don't do it, guys. Don't go side by side. Haynes just going slightly wide and onto the grass. Careful, David!
Oh, he's locked up. Oh, well done to David there.
He manages to get through all right, but unfortunately, he has gone from the lead of this race all the way down to 4th and way behind the top 3. So Cameron Dance now is the leader of this race, and the OPR pair bearing down on him.
This is going to be... Haynes was in a sense the cork in the bottle, but also what was probably protecting Dance a little bit from those moves being made, because Healy and Anderson, they got past Dance. They might split each other up, and I feel like they're trying to work together to get to the front of the field right now. That's why Anderson isn't passing Healy. Their pace is good enough to work together to get past these guys in front. Now that they've only got Dance to worry about, the job has just been made a lot easier for them because of Haynes pushing it off the track there. So watch for a move in these coming laps, but I don't think Dance will give up this spot without a real hard fight.
No, certainly not. Healy making a slight little mistake there through Deer's Leap. And Anderson now really getting racy, going side by side into turn 1. Healy with that defensive line, he's making that work, but Anderson is continuing to monster the back of him, even searching a little bit off the circuit to try and find some room. With that Haynes, as we go on board with Anderson, I was just going to say that that Haynes incident, I think we saw symptoms of that earlier on. He was taking a very wide line into turn 2, turn 3, I think it might be. And eventually, that didn't work out very well for him in the end. So we'll see what Haynes can do from here on in. But Healy is now under big pressure from Anderson. Will he be able to chuck it up the inside? Nope, not this time. And they're staying as they are once again.
This is what I was talking about with Anderson and Healy having to work together here. If they battle, Dance stays in front. And also, you've got to consider that if they don't clear Dance soon, and his pace is affected by pressure or small mistakes that we did see him make in the last couple of races, Haynes could get closer and closer to this. So if Healy and Anderson want a chance of really duking it out for first and second, they've got to clear Dance soon. We actually only have about 15 minutes left. That's already 10 minutes down and about 11 laps left in this race. So there is not a lot of time left here to get these moves done, all things considered. Dance is doing a great job at holding these guys off at the moment and keeping that distance. So right now, Dance is actually doing a 130.8 and Healy did a 130.7. So their paces are two different. Healy having a look here. He's going to try throw it down the inside. Anderson will try follow him through on the inside there. Looks like it might work. Healy disappearing off screen for a second there. Dance and Anderson will probably go side by side as they come through to this left-hander here. Did not work so well for Haynes, but Dan's going to try hold it around the outside there and split this OPR pair. He's going to keep it up the inside, try and get that run.
Oh,
they make contact, Anderson's around!
Oh no, that's the championship leader! Touched by Cameron Dance in the hairpin. My goodness, the stewards will definitely be taking a look at that. I can see Dance is actually slowing down to readdress that position, so... Oh, this is going to bring him and Haynes right back together, just on board quickly with Dance, showing that very hard to pick the right line through that corner, and unfortunately did not work out well for Anderson. But as Dance lets Anderson by, you can see Haynes, Hunter, and Bircher are bearing down on him. So Dance and Haynes meeting once again.
I'm beginning to think that Dan's probably getting sick of that big blue Haynes car there. I think he's seeing in his rear view mirror all right out in front of him. But like you said, now that he's done the right thing with Anderson and let him by, but this is going to negate the effort that Anderson put in that first race if he can't get back by Healy by the end of this race. So that's good sportsmanship by Dance in the end there. But in terms of Anderson, he's now 4.3 seconds, 4.4 seconds behind his teammate of Healy and has some work to do as well ahead of him. But just looking behind them there at Bircher and Haynes as well as Hunter as well, these guys have had a nice little battle pack going, brewing while we were watching that top 4 battle pack. And as we know, Bircher has been working his way through the field, starting, after that incident out of turn 1 on lap 1. He's now made it from 12th up to 5th place and has some good pace as well. So I'm interested to see how he goes, particularly with passing Richard Hunter here.
Yeah, definitely. Richard Hunter... we will note he started in 5th, so he has had perhaps the most consistent running out of anyone in this race so far, as Haynes actually losing ground behind Cody Bircher there.
Yeah, so Haynes he's dropping off a little bit here. His pace probably isn't where he'd like it to be. Not quite equivalent to his qualifying pace there, unfortunately for him. But we'll see if he can regather it in the next lap or two and see where he ends up. Cam Dance is currently, he's out of trouble at the moment for the time being anyway. About a couple of seconds back to Richard Hunter. So he's got a good bit of time there. But Hunter just got passed by Cody Bircher actually coming into the last corner there. And that's brought Haynes right back into it. The last corner's an awkward place because you really need that drive for the straight. If you don't get it, you compromise that run and bring whoever's behind you back into it. So Haynes has gotten a lucky pass there, and we're now right on the back of Richard Hunter, who has been quite a consistent driver in this series. And Haynes is going to look down the inside here, not quite going to be able to get it done, hold it in behind. Next left-hand is definitely not a great opportunity for passing, but we'll see if he tries at the hairpin. As we see, Bircher is actually running checked out.
Yes, indeed. So as they go through this fast left-hander, once again down to the hairpin, Haynes actually backing off slightly, but Richard Hunter locking. So Hunter is really feeling the pressure right now, and Bircher is just streaking away. And I think Haynes, if you're in his position, you'd want to be getting by Hunter as soon as humanly possible.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So Haynes, he needs to get past Hunter so he can try and keep up with Bircher there and keep this going. Because if he can't get past Hunter here, he's just going to lose all that time. And Dance is only a little ways up the road there as well, and that's pretty much been David Haynes' reference point for this round, if you will, because they've been together in the last race and they were together in this race. So he's really got to get past Hunter, turn the pace up a little bit, and get working here.
Yeah, exactly. Really need to turn up the pace now. We're actually past half race distance, race time, at the moment. So it is crunch time now or never for quite a few of these drivers in this field.
Yeah, that's it. And Anderson has just set the fastest lap of the race as well, a 1:30.2, and and 3 seconds separating him and Healy, and Healy's last lap was a 1:30.7. So this is gonna be close, I think.
This might still be on.
If Anderson keeps pumping out these laps, we still have 7.5 laps here at the moment left to go, and the pace that he's bringing him in at, if he keeps going half a second a lap faster each lap, he may have a couple of laps left up his sleeve to really have a go at the win here tonight and take both races.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Anderson, yeah, it is still on right now. Anderson, with his pace, he could easily catch up to Healy. We'll take a look next time they cross the line to see what their gap is. But I'll tell you what, if Anderson could get in front of Healy, that would just be his championship lead further secured. Gotta remember, these two are fighting for the championship, so it's in their best interests to not do anything particularly silly around each other, but nonetheless, they both want to race each other hard for this championship. So Healy's lap time, minute 30.7. Meanwhile, Anderson gaining another 6/10. My goodness.
And he just reduced his fastest lap by yet another 10th, so he is flying at the moment. And Healy's fastest lap is a 1:30.2. But right now, he's half a second slower than that. If he was doing those 30.2s, he'd be protecting himself. But right now, Anderson is flying. And by the end of this lap, I wouldn't be surprised if he was within 2 seconds of Healy. And that would put us with 6 laps to go. So it is going to be close at the end. Keeps pushing lap times like that out. I think that we could see a real great battle here between Healy and Anderson. Like you were saying before, Reece, our championship contenders with a few rounds left to go.
Yeah, that's it. Well, top two certainly not over, but David Haynes, meanwhile, has actually gotten past Richard Hunter, so he will resume his fight for that potential top 4 position. But looking at Cody Birch's pace, I reckon he has a better chance of getting onto the podium at the moment, does Mr. Bircher. That's 1 second between Bircher and Dance right now, so this could get very spicy in the last couple of laps.
Indeed. Looking back at James Wilson now, he's actually embroiled in a battle with Simon Mazzomo. Interestingly enough, for 10th and 11th place, these were our guys that started 1st and 2nd on the grid. So obviously a little bit further back than where they would have wanted to end up in this race. But now they've got a nice little battle going on here. Coming through the chicane section, Wilson's looking a little bit stronger than Mazzomo there. And now Mazzomo has a moment and he's round there, just missing Wilson. That could have been all over Red Rover for those guys. So Wilson threw on Mazzomo, and yeah, Mazzomo still struggling a little bit with that car, unfortunately for him.
Yes, indeed. Goodness me, the gap was so close between those guys. But back to Cody Bircher, chasing down Cameron Dance through the hairpin here. You can see Bircher going almost for that early or double apex line through that hairpin. It's such a cool corner, that hairpin. It's banked and it follows the terrain. It goes slightly uphill as well. So nice to go through when you've got the car set up just right. You can see Bircher very aggressive under the brakes and firing his car towards every single apex. He's really got the measure of Dance right now, it seems. Dance at the moment, I think his brain is just getting into defensive mode because he knows that there isn't much time left. Richard Hunter, meanwhile, hasn't exactly shaken David Haynes, so I'm actually quite impressed by Hunter in this race.
Yeah, well, look, he hasn't just given up, and that's really good. So Haynes got past him, but he put up a fight for that, and now he's not letting Haynes run away either, which isn't really what Haynes needs because he wants to be, and Haynes actually runs just a little bit wide there, coming back across the track, which is going to bring Hunter back in, but Haynes really needs to clear him and start running. We've only got 5 laps left to go in this race here tonight, Reece, so they don't have long left at the moment to make these moves and get them done, and right now Haynes is looking at a 5th place the way Cody Birch is going at the moment. His pace is mega at the moment, and just to point out, Anderson was another 6/10 faster than Healy, and now only within 1.5 seconds of him. So it's going to be on for young and old, I think, between Bircher and Dance and Healy and Anderson come these last couple of laps.
Yeah, that's exactly right. We may have a couple of battles to watch at the same time. That gap at the front It's just been amazing to watch that just creep down and down and down. So Michael Healy, last lap, a 1 minute 30.823, 30.2 once again for Joshua Anderson. So he's just taking massive chunks out of Healy's gap right now. And that's the kind of performance that Anderson will be wanting to put in at this stage in the series if he wants to keep his championship hopes there.
Yeah, well, Anderson really needs to get past Healy to solidify his championship lead. And we're just going to flash back to Hunter and Haynes now, because Hunter is still right on the back of him and even closer than last lap. So we'll focus on this battle for a little bit while keeping an eye on the timing between some of our closer battles here as well. But Hunter he's done very well. In a few other series I've commentated with him in them, he's always been consistent and there or thereabouts in the races. Quiet racer, but there at the end, and this is just showing exactly that. So he's done really well, particularly against guys like David Haynes that usually have a good bit of pace. He's right up there and pressuring them quite a bit as well.
Yeah, he definitely is. Haynes has looked a bit scrappy in the last few laps, actually, which is surprising. There he goes again with that very wide entry into the left-hander, and you can see everyone else taking a much more direct line to the middle of the corner. So Hunter obviously believes he has a chance here in the first sector of the track, and you can see Haynes just having to go slightly defensive into the hairpin, but we'll see what Hunter can do on the exit. Tiny bit of a slide. Seems that Haynes has the measure of him for now.
For now being the key word. So we'll have a look at Bircher and Dance now, which is within half a second with 3 laps to go next time round. So this is really heating up at the moment, and the gap is under a second between Healy and Anderson. So this is all going off. Anderson is just putting in hot lap after hot lap, trying to catch Healy, and Birch is doing much the same against Dance. His laps are 4 to 5 tenths faster every lap we come by. So this is 3 laps to go. It's going to be on for young and old for all of our podium positions.
Yeah, exactly right. It's 100% on. Anderson, once again, the fastest lap of the race, now into the 29s. Wow. Amazing stuff.
Mega lap.
Yeah, 8 tenths on Michael Healy gained that last lap. So now the gap is half a second or less. Currently on board with Anderson, watching his teammate as they come through the opening corners of the lap here at Oulton Park. Absolutely magnificent circuit. Such an awesome track as a driver and as a racer. Have a look at the momentum that Anderson can carry through those corners. That's amazing. Meanwhile, oh yeah, Cameron Dance.
Mistake made there by Bircher by the looks of it has kept him safe. So now Bircher is quite a ways behind him. In fact, it's going to be about 1.5 seconds back there now. So Dance looks like for now he'll keep that third place safe. So we'll flash back to Healy and Anderson then, because we're going to have 2 laps to go next time round, and this gap is now down to 3 tenths. Anderson has got to make his move soon and make sure it is assertive, because otherwise Healy may try to look for the move back. But these OPR guys, they have been inseparable in this championship, which is why they're 1 and 2 in the championship at the moment. But we look for the run now coming out of the last turn here to bring it to 2 laps to go. Anderson's right on the back of Healy. Won't be able to throw a move down the inside here at turn 1. It is quite a fast right-hander here. We'll watch for the next couple of turns. Anderson using all the track more there to try and maximise his exit. Won't be able to get the move down the inside here. Healy playing quite a good defensive game there. Just positioning the car so he doesn't give enough room down the inside for Anderson to throw it there. Anderson's flashing the lights. The gamesmanship is on here.
Certainly is. Bircher's mistake was that he cut turn 1. He had to serve a slowdown, so that's why Cameron Dance is safe. But this battle between the top 2 is truly on now. Lap 16 of this race. And you can see Anderson, in those last couple of turns, he was really struggling to look for any kind of space he could to try and attack Healy. Look at how much he's got it sorted in the braking zones, but Healy is just able to carry that little bit of extra momentum through the mid to exit of the corner. So that's where Anderson's falling down right now. But look out for him in the braking zones. That's where he really gains.
Yeah, exactly it. And that's where he's got to gain in these next few laps, particularly coming into the hairpin, is in those braking zones because, or in this last lap now, as we come around, we're about to come around the last turn for the final lap here. Healy has managed to keep this race win, particularly after, keep this race lead, sorry, I should say, under wraps. But now Anderson, with the mega pace he's showed tonight, has brought it back, flashing the lights again, trying to distract Healy. We know Healy, he has a solid head on that shoulders. He's not going to let him through, and he's not going to make a mistake to let him through. He will want to take this win to make sure that that championship gap doesn't blow out more. And we can see Healy locks up the front left just a little bit there. Anderson nearly rams into the back of him, but that has ruined Anderson's run now. And that means that Healy may be safe coming into the hairpin. Anderson still taking a bit of a look here, trying to put him off his game. Good run from Healy there. Going to take a bit of defensive line into this banked hairpin. Last half of the lap race, what are we going to see?
Great defending. I don't know, but that is some great defending there from Michael Healy. He just put his car in all the right places. He's going to have to do the same on the run down this back stretch. You can see he's going further to the right than ever before. Anderson may try to squeeze through here. Big dive under brakes, but he's losing it. They both make contact. Those are our leaders making contact, but Healy is going to keep going from that. A botched move from Joshua Anderson, and that is going to possibly give Michael Healy the race win, but he's having to serve a slowdown. Anderson is now under big pressure here from Cameron Dance. This could completely change the podium.
Yeah, if Dance can get a good run, Anderson has quite a bit of damage on the front right of his car there, and he may be able to slip by him.
Oh no, Dance makes a mistake.
Bit of a mistake there. That's going to ruin his chance of getting second place there, but wow, what an exciting just about end to that lap there. Anderson, he tried, he went all or nothing in that chicane there, and unfortunately it just did not work out for him. Healy is our race winning. Healy is our race winner. Anderson second. Cameron Dance bringing it home in third. Oh, nearly an incident there as Anderson pulls off to the right-hand side of the circuit and Dance nearly drills him. What an end to our race here tonight, Race.
Yes, indeed. We're going to go to a quick CPR Kart Parts replay. That incident between the leaders, I tell you what, that's probably made a big statement for the last few rounds of the season. These two teammates, both championship contenders. Anderson just went for that do-or-die move, Brock, but looks to me like Healy just moved over slightly to the right in the braking zone, and Anderson, well, his reaction was to jerk the wheel to the side, but we know how sensitive this car is under brakes. There was no way Healy was going to be letting him through there.
That's it, and just the first thing that came to mind when you mentioned championship contenders that are teammates, Nico Rosberg and Lewis Hamilton. This is a very similar situation in that these guys want to race hard, but they're from the same team. They've got to be careful around each other to not take each other out like that. Like, you know, OPR nearly lost points to the likes of TTL because of that incident, you know. The move itself was a little bit, obviously, like you said, Healy moved over a little bit in the braking zone. Whether that was just the car moving under him or whether that was an actual move, we'll see. But yeah, wow, heart's beating a million miles an hour after seeing that. What an end to our second race here tonight, and for such a small field, these guys really put on a show for us.
Yeah, they certainly did, and the results are on screen. Michael Healy and Joshua Anderson finishing 1 and 2, and looking back at that incident, I don't know if I can put the blame squarely on either driver. Just seems like both of them were going for the same bit of track. Cameron Dance, though, finishing in third, with Cody Bircher holding on for fourth, David Haynes fifth, Richard Hunter in sixth. Very good result for him. Jason Cossey comes home in seventh, with Stephen Hall in eighth, Andrew Mogridge ninth, rounding out the top 10, Simon Mazzomo. James Wilson finishing in 11th, and our only retiree from this race, Steve Jansen, 12-car field for the Porsche Supercup Australasia, of course, presented by us at V8s Online. And my goodness, we have our first driver interview here. Joshua Anderson in the box with us. Josh, you won race 1 in commanding fashion, but race 2 was a bit harder.
Yeah, you know, a few incidents. What can you do? It's good fun, though.
Certainly looked like it from within the commentary box. That battle with you and Michael Healy throughout race 2 ended in an interesting fashion. What's your view on that incident on the last lap?
Oh, it was pretty stupid from my part. I got a bit of the I just had a dive. It wasn't the smartest thing on my part, and luckily Healy still won. So I apologise to him soon. So it was good fun. I thought I wasn't going to spend all that effort of catching him to not have a go. So
Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, certainly this makes the championship between you two just as tight as it was coming into this race. So for the lead of the championship, coming into the next round at Okayama, we only have a few rounds to go this season. What's your plan coming into these last few rounds?
well, I enjoy driving the car, so let's just drive, race, hopefully win. Bathurst is my favourite track, so I think I should give that a fair shake. So it's the last round, so I'm looking forward to that one the most. Okayama's alright, not that fun, and Phillip Island's good fun too. So yeah, it's sort of just take every race as it comes, I reckon.
All right, we'll see how that works out. Josh, before we let you go, who would you like to thank?
Oh, it's everyone at OPR for working on the setup. I'd also like to thank Healy for racing me very clean. I sort of got a bit of the, got a bit brave there on the last lap, but he was faultless the whole race. His defense was fantastic. Placed his car in all the right places. I can't thank him enough for what was a great battle. And thanks for broadcasting. It's always good to watch after.
Cheers, Josh. That was Josh Anderson, your race 1 winner, race 2, position number 2. Next up, we have Cameron Dance coming into the commentary box. Cam, you finished on the podium in race 2. How does that feel?
Yeah, it's actually quite good actually to finally get a podium in this series. But a little bit gutted I didn't get the win, although again, Healy and Josh had some pretty good pace. Could have had the little man on my shoulder that was telling me to just go for it after I accidentally turned Josh. I should have just driven off, but I listened to the other one and decided I'd redress and just do the sportsmanlike thing.
Yeah, well, I suppose that definitely puts you in a good light in the eyes of the stewards, Cam, and in the eyes of the audience as well. So getting a podium here at Oulton Park, you and David Haynes just weren't able to get rid of each other.
No, it was actually quite funny that we kept not running into each other, but just being so close to each other throughout the entire night, both in race 1 and race 2. Good battles with David, actually. So, yeah, plenty enjoyed, and hopefully it happens again along later in the championship.
Well, coming into the next round at Okayama, is that a track you're a fan of?
Yes and no. It's an interesting circuit for a Porsche, and I can't remember how I did last time out. I actually drove at Okayama, and actually when I actually last drove there as well. So it's going to be rather interesting to see how that goes, and hopefully we get a few more numbers and get some just as good racing.
Yes, indeed. Well, Cameron, with your top 10 in the championship now before this round, definitely going to be better than that coming out of this round. Who do you want to thank?
Yeah, I'd just like to thank the guys at TTL Esports for their hard work behind the scenes as always, and our sponsors, Hyperstimulator, Down Under Graphics, Asher Racing, and the TTL Driver Academy.
Cameron Dance there for TTL Esports, third place finisher in race 2. And finally, to end our driver interviews for tonight, we have David Haynes in the commentary box. David, it was very good round for you, actually, getting a top 5 in race 2, but not without a few errors.
Yeah, I tell you what, both races weren't, my absolute potential, but to avoid any major catastrophe in both, get some points was good. And it seemed like both races, wherever I was always battling someone, which I guess is good to watch.
Yeah, that someone turned out to be Cameron Dance quite a bit this round. Did you get sick of the sight of that orange car at all?
Oh, let's not bring hair color into this. But he's always good to race against, even though I was, I guess, a little bit annoyed with how he got past me in the second race. But that's how it happens, and I guess that's on me.
Yes, indeed. Well, Oulton Park, obviously not treating you the best, but coming into Okayama, it's a very different circuit to Oulton Park. It's a lot more sterile, a lot smoother, a lot more technical, I would dare say. So coming into these last few rounds of the season, What is your plan? You were sitting 5th in the championship before this round.
Yeah, I just got to keep showing up, keep finishing, and, you know, avoid any real catastrophe. Obviously can't drop the last round of the season, so just got to keep showing up and hope that things go my way.
Well, before we let you go, David, any shout-outs?
Oh, just all my pals back in the US with Team Huge Ass and our major sponsor, Dickens Cider.
David Haynes there for Team Huge Ass, our final driver interview of the night. Well, Brock, turns out that was some pretty entertaining racing that we got despite the smaller grid.
Look, I'll admit to the viewers, we were a little bit worried before the race started. We saw the small grid and we went, I wonder if we're going to have a good race here tonight. The GT3 race last week sort of got a little bit lackluster towards the end, but I am very, very pleasantly surprised with tonight's racing. In both the first and the second race, there was some awesome battling, and yeah, that last-ditch attempt from Josh Anderson to take the win and try and extend that championship lead was awesome, and good that there's no bad blood or anything there between, from his point of view anyway, towards Healy or anything like that. That was really good to see. And yeah, just the Porsche Supercup putting on another awesome couple of races for us, and that's pretty much been the series from the start. You know, great battles and fairly respectful driving as well.
Yep, that's exactly right. Well, fortunately, it is not going to come to an end for another few rounds. Next round of the series is at Okayama in 2 weeks' time. Of course, we have the GT3 series, Geodesic Racing Sprint Series Australasia at Okayama next week. So it's going to be an Okayama Fest in the midweek slot here on V8's Online and the iRacing Esports Network. So be sure to tune in then. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching and for joining us on this little jaunt. My name has been Reese Gardner. Brock Cadeye in the commentary box with me. Scott Fontaine is our director for this round. This was the V8's Online Porsche Super Cup Race 1 winner, Joshua Anderson. Race 2 winner, Michael Healy. We'll see you next time.
The following is a presentation of the iRacing Esports Network.